Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the November 9th Ware Selectmen's meeting. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start with public comment, I would like to say that Selectman John Osborne and former select person Donna Osborne, it was Donna Osborne's sister, passed away this past weekend. She was 58 years old. Would like to have a moment of silence for Bonnie. Thank you. And would like to pass out our condolences to all the family. Next item would be public comment. No public comment. I have,
No, we all
Tom?
going once.
It's my 2 cents as usual.
Oh, I think it's worth more than that. Maybe 5.
A couple of weeks ago, the idea of the money that the board would put toward the tax rate came up. Former Selectman Butt made a comment about it, which I agreed with. There's some new information, though, that I think the board should take into account and maybe be able to hold back a little bit and flatten it out, the tax rate over the years. There was an article in the Where in the World that quoted the superintendent of schools, Jackie Coe, as saying that they have quite a sum that they're giving back to offset taxes. With the school districts, it's an automatic thing. It doesn't go into a fund and be returned according to the way that we do it as a town. But in fact, unless there's a warrant article that gives them permission to spend it on something else, whatever they have left automatically goes back to offset taxes the next year. And the total between the Ware School District, and if I'm calculating it right, you can check the article, and our portion of John Stark, about $800,000 to $900,000. You know, that's a lot of money that would be turned back so that it could offset taxes. Now, you know, of course, it's your decision, but with that on the table, you might have an opportunity to hold something back, because this coronavirus is not going to go away overnight. And so 2021 might very well be just as bad as 2020. So anything you can do to balance it out so that the tax rates stay stable. But I think that school money kind of changes my view of what I was saying a couple of weeks ago. So take a close look at that as you go into setting the tax rate. It's probably going to be on the forms you get from the state anyways, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Anybody else with public comment? I have an answer to a comment that was made last week. A public comment has to do about 2 cruises. We didn't put it out last week, but we put it out this week, that the 2 cruisers went to the auction, and they were sold at auction. The blue unmarked Ford, which was the chief's car, brought $1,000, and the black Ford Crown Vic that had been sitting there brought $700. So,
A lot for every seat.
yep. So, I'm sure somebody's enjoying them. I hope. Okay. Next item is department head committee items. And I guess the first one, Chief, do you have anything for department heads?
Is this budget or not?
No,
Oh, no.
nothing. Okay. Jeez. Next one is the 2021 police budget.
That's you.
That's you.
So I like PowerPoint rather than Excel, although there's Excel in there. Thank you.
Oh. Yep, she had a public comment. Well, it's like, I'm gonna give it at one point.
This is my opportunity.
Oh, I'll step aside. I'm not really started yet.
That's up to the board. She is the
I'd like to reopen it for,
moderator.
department head and committee items.
Yep, we'll put it under that. So,
I'll go
Madam
with that.
Moderator. with that. You have the
I'll
floor.
be quick, I'll be succinct.
You go with big words again.
Yeah.
Succinct?
Yes.
Would you please remove the mask so we could hear you? There we go. Thank you.
So my name is Eileen Meany. I'm town moderator. I just came in to say thank you. I wanted to say thank you to the board for the support that we had for elections. I want to say thank you to the police department for providing detail at both the primary and the national election. I want to say thank you to the DPW for providing all of the support and setting up at Ware Middle School and taking all of that down. I want to say thank you to the town administrator and the finance administrator for volunteering that day. And overall, I felt like the election went very well, and I just wanted to say thank you. It takes a village, and our village certainly showed up, so thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief, you have the floor again.
So this handout we'll get to in a little bit, once I get to the actual taser, wasn't mine. What the hell are y'all doing here?
We can't wait, you know. You should know us better than that.
What are you breaking over there?
Jeez.
Killing our sign.
All right.
Put that.
So just an update on our website too. That's supposed to go live here fairly shortly, maybe in the next week or two, hopefully. Once we get that, everything I ever put will always be on our website, put out. All right, so police department's budgets overview. Gotta clean my readers.
It's okay.
All right, so the main focus this year was budget restructuring. What we did, we eliminated a contracted prosecutor whose salary was $78,000. We used that funding to hire and promote experienced personnel to fulfill those duties. When we've hired and promoted personnel, that's accounted for $26,360 in addition to our budget. We freed up additional funding from that prosecutor salary, $44,221 to enact life cycle management. We previously did all these things before. We just used general funds rather than the police department budget because we didn't have the money in the budget to do them. Some of that provide for a taser contract, our annual fee. I don't pay that. That comes out of the general fund. Provide for the body-worn camera contract. Same thing. That comes out of the general fund. I don't have a line for that. Oh, I'm sorry. I do have a line for taser, but it's $1,000. Right now we have, and I'll get to this in a little bit, we have 4 contracts or 4 tasers on contract. And I'll explain, that kind of ties into this flyer, which I'll get into once we get to that line. Provide for equipment transitions, firearm transition, taser transition, body-worn camera transition, because the initial year of all the contracts are usually the most expensive because we tend to purchase the equipment outright. Increase officer safety with ballistic gear, and provide vehicle equipment, particularly the MDT and the radio. With these changes, we reduced the proposed budget expenses by a total of $7,419 by restructuring this. And by restructuring it, I reduced my budget by $96,490 before I reapplied to these other lines. But overall, I'm down $7,419. I break my budget up into categories. 100% of my budget is $1,749,550. Of that, salary and benefits account for 79.23%, which is $1,386,228. Overtime accounts for 5.71%, which is $100,000. If you add the percentage of those two up between salary, benefits, and overtime, 84.94% of my budget is salary, benefits, overtime. So I don't even get to touch that pretty much. Contracts account for 5.43%, $95,122. Building expenses, 1.59%, $28,000. Departmental expenses, 2.93%, $51,361. Vehicle expenses, 2.51%, $43,700. And personnel expenses, 2.62%, 45,639. And then we'll go into each of these categories. And I'll go down these line by line if you want, or just go to the lines that were changes were made. Yes, no?
I think just the ones that are changed.
Just the ones that are changing.
Okay. Chief salary, so which, you want me to go over the proposed or the whole line?
Okay, we know what the default is in the proposed, what are you proposing?
Well, I didn't propose anything different, this is all.
Okay, so just give us to us.
Yep. The full-time officer, when I mentioned that before, that I gave you a number of $26,360. I want to tell you why that differs from the $18,376. Of course, the voters approved the collective bargaining agreement, which accounted for, I don't have that down, but it was around $56,000. When we advanced officers at a pay rate, obviously, when they go to the next year, that raise wasn't accounted for in the CBA. So that totaled that additional amount. It was like $7,000, which I own because I recommended we advance officers to do the prosecutor duties and what have you, to fulfill those responsibilities. So even though it says 18,376, I really account for 26,360 in my proposed budget. It took me a while to figure that out to explain it. Hopefully I explained it right to you. Police part-time secretary wages, I took $90 out of that because we don't have a part-time secretary, nor do we have any intention of having a part-time secretary. That was on line 116. The rest of these changes were all done by default pretty much. I did mention, I've given estimates on how much we've saved training and recruit. I put that down bottom. So we looked at training and recruit salary only. The minimum we would pay would be $37,147.05. That includes 18 weeks in the academy, 18 weeks of field training, and that's at a step 1 officer with a corporal as my field training officer. Of course, I also have 2 sergeants as field training officers, so we use the lower rate. If we got a certified officer, which is minimum pay for a step 8 officer, of course, they don't go to the academy. They do 4 weeks at a minimum of FTO, which is typically what it's been. Step 8 officer with corporal FTO, $5,592.50. So the difference we save for each officer we hire as a certified recruit or a certified officer, even at the top rate over getting a recruit, is $31,554.55. We've done that 3 times this year, which have saved our department. I don't think we would have a department if we didn't take those steps. So we saved in training costs $94,663.65. Anybody have any questions about those numbers? But that kind of justifies why we went with additional proposed in line 113. We needed to do that to save the police department. And like I said, I account for 26,360 rather than the 18. Just to let you know, in the overtime line, I kind of looked at where we spend the majority of our overtime. We still have 1 vacancy on the police department. We're not full yet. And of course, we have Officer Lewis, who's still out modified duty, and Sergeant Montplaisir, who's on administrative duty. But coverage, year to date, as of October 22nd, 2020, we had 872 hours of coverage. 63 hours were for arrests, 13 hours for accidents, and 142 and a half hours for calls for service related. So the overwhelming majority is trying to keep our shifts full. Once we do get a full department, I think our overtime will reduce substantially, which we should see next year. We don't have currently anyone formally in that last vacancy process. We're getting ready to. We have a ride-along scheduled on Wednesday, and this will be another certified officer. So if he likes what he sees, he'll probably be pulling the trigger.
Just a question, probably to clarify for anybody that's listening and the other taxpayers. You gave a breakdown of how many hours you're covering. How many hours a day per week is that you are covering for shifts? I think that's probably what they're looking for. You gave, what, 800 and...
872 from January 1st through October
22nd.
22nd. Are you talking about how many shifts need to be covered
How
per
many
day?
how many hours a day are you covering for shifts 7 days a week? Let's put it that way, in a month. What are your hours?
So the hours, we start at 7 a.m.
Yep.
We go till 3 a.m. in the morning. 4 hours are uncovered, 7 days a week.
Okay, that's what I was
200
looking for.
or
the
365
clarification.
days a year.
So anybody else that's listening can figure instead of taking that total sum. and-
Sure.
I don't think you guys are talking the same language.
What's that?
I don't think you guys are talking the
No, I
same
don't think
language.
so
He's
either.
saying that the department shuts down at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right, I understand
And
that.
there's that 4 hours of
4
coverage.
hours, but he gave a
Right.
total number of how many
Right, but
hours
he-
they work.
And we
But
have
the
a
eight-
minimum.
But the 872 coverage is
Right.
covering shifts that are not filled.
Like vacation
Correct.
and.
Right, for vacation.
Oh, okay,
4
the
hours.
way
Yeah.
you came across, it sounded like there were
Sorry,
shifts
okay.
that were,
Yeah.
that you were covering right now, the regular rotation.
Right, so we have a
Minimum of
2-hour,
two.
or I'm sorry, a 2-officer minimum.
Right.
That we try to keep full. When we only have one person scheduled for a vacation or an injury or a leave, someone else can fill that shift. We've done that worth of 872 hours worth.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and I think Jack's question is roughly, how many times do shifts need to be covered a week?
Yep.
Maybe not in hours, but how many times a week do they have to be covered?
So, a lot more than we actually cover.
Okay.
They're what, 10-hour shifts?
I would say we actually, yes, 10-hour shifts,
So that's 87 days, basically, worth of.
and we probably cover a quarter to a third of what's actually available,
Okay.
just to let you know. Because we have those 2 officers out plus the vacancy. So we're actually at 75% staffing, who can actually man the street.
Okay.
There you go.
And this is the high. For years, they haven't been this high. So we're looking much better than we used to.
Okay. I think
And just to give you a comparison, the
That-
beginning of the
That way
year,
it gets, because people out there, listen, you rattle it off pretty quick, and.
Sure.
But they want to know, giving that total number, they want to know what the difference is. Okay, you can give the total number for the year, but that doesn't tell them, what their police coverage is or lack thereof for each week or for the year.
so
How many
it,
shifts are vacant, or
Yeah,
they
it
pick up the
varies.
phone and call, is somebody coming or not? So you don't have, 4 hours a night?
I can do some
3
quick
hours.
math and,
Yeah.
on my phone and
Yeah.
tell you how many hours we do cover.
3 hours, so it's basically you're looking at, 3 hours a night that's not covered?
4.
4 hours a night,
They do 2 10-hour shifts.
yeah. 7 days a week.
Let's see.
That's just under 1,500 hours
Yep.
a year without police coverage. 1,460.
Yeah, so total, at a minimum coverage, 7,120 hours a year at a minimum to cover, put 2 officers on the street for those 20 hours a day. And we've had to fill those shifts 872 times. We always have at least,
872 hours.
or, yeah, 872 hours worth. And we always have at least 1 officer working during the times we're there. Just sometimes we can't get to because we're so short-staffed. Make sense?
Right.
Ish.
Ish, yep.
All right, done with that page?
Yep.
All right, contracts. So this is pretty much anything we're kind of contractually obligated to. Our dispatcher, all negotiated, rubbish collection, cleaning services, police tasers, line 613, and this is where we're at now. Currently, we have 4 tasers under contract. I want to say that was, a little bit over $1,000 a year we had in the budget. If you look at this, so Taser recommends the useful life cycle is 5 years. If you go beyond the 5 years, they won't stand behind their product. If we had a lawsuit within those 5 years, they would send representatives to us, help us defend that malfunction in court, and they also provide $10 million liability coverage. We only have that on 4 tasers right now. So we have a huge liability for the other 8. To bring 12 tasers here, it's about $5,100, which is why I put that in there. And we're looking at how it would split, but pretty much, if the budget goes through, I'll bring Corporal Muse in here and we'll explain the different options we do have for tasers, but everything would be under $5,100.
So it's $5,100 for a total of 12 tasers?
Correct.
Okay.
And those are, so right now we carry the X26s. This would go up to the, I think it's called the X2 or something like that. The next model up, the X26 is getting ready, from what we gather, they haven't announced it yet. It's been around a while, so it's been getting ready to be phased out as obsolete. It's been replaced by the X2, just for, I'm not sure what the exact model number is, but they're about the same price, but much better function on the X2. But like I said, if it goes through, I'll bring Corporal Muse in here. He'll explain the different options for a taser, and we'll get you guys a decision on which way you want to go. No difference on the radio maintenance contract. Police body worn camera. So this was an adjustment. What you see, the 6786 is the annual cost of the contract. This was not in my budget before. I've added this. This was coming out of general funds before. I had the 1818 was just to replace equipment on the body worn cameras, being the holders or if a camera broke or what have you. We just got mounts. We got a couple mounts under this. But the actual contract cost I didn't have in my budget. So part of taking the prosecutor's salary went to put this in my budget. Anybody got any questions about
Like I
that?
say, we just signed that last year, didn't we?
Yeah, we're just on year 2 of
It's
5.
a 5-year contract, so yeah.
Okay.
But now it'll actually be in here where we don't have to
With
go
a
to general
line.
funds to pay for it. I've got a line which can pay for it. IMC server maintenance. This didn't cost $9,200 a year. It just got I got a notice of a 5% contract increase, so we're a little bit under the 6744, but I allowed just a slight leeway with that. So I took that 2,500 to restructure it in a different place. No change on line 624, line 735. Any questions on contracts? All right, next page is building expenses. So police telephone, I don't really see us going up in usage fees, so I took $1,300 out of this for other needs. Instead of $16,000, I moved it down to $14,700, and that still gives me about $700 to $800 leeway of where I project to be on an annual cost.
And that's including this 12th officer you're looking to bring on?
Yes. Building maintenance, all the rest of the lines are no change. Building maintenance, no change. Janitorial services, building supplies, no change. Computer hardware, software, that's something that I added last year. Before it was for the purchase of one computer. I found that I have a lot of software that I have to get. Leads Online, Acrobat Pro PC, New England State Police Information Network, Zoom Shift, and Dog Lookup Online. The fees for each of those are down below, but those particular fees would go into a computer hardware software line, just for better tracking on accountability. Police office equipment, furniture, no change on that. And does anybody have any questions on building expenses? All right, departmental expenses. Here's where it gets fun. So, line 320, police prosecutor evidence collection. Just for accountability, I took $1,000 out of that line and I put it in a new line, 321, police record storage. That's where we sent all the bins full of police records to Manchester, and we're keeping them in Manchester store. It's $75 a month for fees, plus any time we have to pull records or anything like that, we get charged a fee. So we've allotted a little bit over $75 just in case we have to pull anything, but that provides us a line just to identify what we're spending. And I did that just to track cost. And I know I'll never see this when you're talking a new police department building. Obviously, that line would go away because now you'd obviously make enough storage space for your records where you bring them back all on site. We just don't have that with our current building. Police prosecutor services, in the 2020 approved budget, you can see where the $78,000 was. In the 2021 budget, we're down to $10,426. Of course, part of that is contractual from where we've got the attorney on retainer for 24/7 questions, as well as we have about $4,426 in for any direct service fees related to court appearances. Police
So
re-
theoretically, next year, that number could change again, depending on how it kind of works out.
in what way?
Well, like you said, it depending on if you need any special.
Yes.
So it could change a little bit, up, down,
I
unknown.
would- if I were anticipating it's going to go down, because I really don't see a need for our prosecutor to go to court.
But where we're changing that staffing mode, obviously, that's why it's still staying around the
Correct.
10,000 number.
Right, we'll always need the 24/7 hour resource, but I don't see us needing in case he has to go to court to assist us with the case.
Right.
Which would free up $4,400 and,
There you go. That's
roughly.
my question.
Yes, sir, I completely agree. Police recruitment, so we're getting officers who I believe are gonna be here long-term. We've stopped the revolving door, which means we're not gonna have the recruiting expenses we need to. I've cut that budget in half. Pretty much that line pays for psychological exams, medical exams, what have you, any cost of actually recruiting personnel. We don't go out and recruit people. We put out testing dates and locations and who shows up, but that's the money we need to get them through the entire hiring process. But I reduced that by half just because we're down to one vacancy and I don't see us losing anyone, hopefully. Police accreditation, obviously we gave that up because of staffing last year, so that's $8,500 free. Police evidence storage, when I free up money,
Before we get away from that line.
Sure.
In the future, are you looking to get accredited again?
Not with our current size, I wouldn't, not with the current size of our department. I wouldn't recommend it. So if you do accreditation, you really need a full-time person on staff.
If we zero a line, it's gone.
That's
What-
my-
what if
that's
we
my
just-
We can keep a dollar in it.
I'd think it'd probably safer. We don't know what's gonna happen. I'd probably just throw a buck in it just to keep the line open.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Sure.
Instead of canceling the line, I'd rather just keep it open.
Yep.
Again, and models could change, like I said, something could change and you could go back that, I don't know. That's why I asked you what you saw long-term.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to accreditation. I think it's a very good process. It's just a huge financial commitment that I don't see happening here. Like I said, my old department, we were the same level of accreditation, same number of standards. We had 3 full-time people. Just to get one full-time person here, that's probably $50,000 on top of the accreditation expenses.
Right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
our policies will match that, especially with today's law enforcement trends. There's more of a push for national standards. New Hampshire's already come out with Police Training Standards Council saying they're going to put out standards regarding use of force. So we're not going to have to worry about to make sure our language is correct. It's going to be correct at the state and a national level.
I think we ought to just leave $1 in there just to keep it open. Because
Sure.
as you said, accreditation, that doesn't mean it's just specifically for CALIA. There could be something else that pops up further down the road, especially at a local level.
No problem. Everybody good with 393, police accreditation, leaving $1 in?
$1, yeah.
All righty. 431, police evidence storage. These are the 2 bays that we rent out, that we keep evidence in. Obviously, we don't have room at the department. That's a big expense, and this is where I moved the money from recruiting to cover that expense before we were taking it out of prosecutor, evidence collection and other lines where it really didn't belong there. So we created loan line just to show what our expenses are because we're out of room in our current building. And this is what the savings would be should we ever go to a new building. Not that that's on my agenda. No change to printing. Police supplies. So 610, this is a big line. I put $20,135 here. Now, why did I do that? So if you go down to my notes at the bottom, there are increases which hit us almost, or not, there's expenditures which hit us almost on an annual basis, but it might not be every year. For instance, patrol PC, we need one of those a year. That's about $6,000. That would come out of this line. Vehicle radios, they're $4,625 each. With 7 vehicles, that's a life cycle of 14 years replacing one. We need one every other year. We currently have 3 out of cycle. That means they're beyond their recommended life life cycle. You know, as you know, I mentioned multiple times, just in car 8, which we're going to put in the ACO vehicle, that radio model was obsolete, was replaced by a model. That model's obsolete, was replaced by a model. That model's getting ready to be obsolete, but we're still using that one, you know, great grandfather 2 generations ago. So it still works, but obviously it's not something we would put in a new car that we would need to replace that. Weapons transition, these are for our sidearms we carry on us. They're supposed to be replaced every 7th year. We're scheduled in 2021. It would pay for a weapons transition. When we do a new contract acquisition for body-worn cameras, that cost us $12,543. It did on this last contract in acquisition cost because we bought the body-worn cameras outright. And that would occur every 5th year. Again, that's something that was used for general funds. We had to pay for that out of general funds rather than that being in the line for the police department. New contract acquisition for tasers, right about $2,688, and that was for 12 tasers. Again, that would be another every 5th year cost. But I could keep going on with the type of the type of things that come up in that area where this line would be beneficial for.
So why are vehicle radios included in 610 when you have a communications equipment 685 line?
Yeah.
Personal radios that we carry on us versus vehicle radios.
I would think they'd fall under the same.
Yep,
I would agree.
I would agree with that.
Different life cycles. So we don't need a vehicle radio every year. So I would raise that up like it would be a wave, if that makes sense.
If we're
So-
gonna, if we're gonna go under that, I think I'd rather have 685 and then maybe another 685, rename it to portable communications equipment, another one for mobile. Just keeps it clear because to me supplies, radio is not a supply. Weapons, I'm not sure I'd call that a supply, but I could see that, but the vehicle radios to me falls under communication equipment.
Right. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to address all these life cycle costs that might not be an annual cost, but when you look at them over the extended period, you can see where this will hit this year, this will hit this year, whereas you'd have up and down on multiple lines rather than I'm trying to flatline things.
Now, it's like, for instance, on some of your weapons and your sidearms, some of them aren't going to have to be replaced in 2021 because it depends on when the purchase was.
So we're going to a new model.
So it's not that you're going to get rid of them in a life cycle. You're going to turn around and transition to a whole new model, make and model.
Correct.
So, okay. I mean, that's a question. You're talking about life cycle because I know some of the weapons were bought less than the life cycle that you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and we have a couple, and it's not many. You're probably talking
About
2 or 3
About 3 that I
Yeah.
can think of off the top of my head.
that are in our armory that haven't been issued because we've got the vacancy or we don't have a part-time. Well, obviously, we still have weapons for them. The big factor of why we are going to a new model, target acquisition. You use the technologies available. We all saw the results on Buckley Road and how many rounds we were able to effectively put on target. The weapons we're going to, SIG has started putting them with red dots. We're going to put a red dot on our weapons. They sell them manufactured like that. Other departments in the area are already testing. I think Manchester's already got approval. We were hoping to beat them. Goffstown's going. But this is becoming the new wave of law enforcement, put red dots on there because you can pick up your target and put rounds where you need to put them much more effectively. And seeing the percentage that we actually were on target during that shooting, it wasn't very good. So. And obviously,
So-
you don't want 2 types of weapons. You want everybody with the same.
That's right.
No,
They have to be
that I agree.
so in other words, instead of doing this, so every 7 years, we're going to look at that expense going up. So if you get new weapons this time around in your budget, 2021, the budget year, so 7 years from now, it should be what, 2028, you'd be looking for another whole new round of weapons again. Following your life cycle.
If we didn't use the same model,
Yeah.
if we kept the same model, then not necessarily.
Okay.
But we'll have to see what's out there. So, and I'll tell you this, it very likely could happen if we're looking at SIG, If SIG had a 45 with a red dot, all day long. And there's a reason for that. Number one, penetration. If we go to a school and we get in a shooting, we don't want multiple classrooms penetrated with that round. We want to hit what we're shooting at and the bullet to stop because we don't want residual casualties. Make sense? That's the biggest thing, bullet penetration. Number two, just from personal experience, what I've seen, 45 stops people. If you're going to get in a shooting, you want a 45. And I get the FBI ballistics, this, that, and the other, but we carried on my old department 9mm for a while, and we got in multiple shootings. And when we switched to 45, there was an apparent difference. It is what it is. And we can use our own shooting. Officer Lewis was hit with a 45. He was out of the fight. Our other victim was hit with a 9mm. He wasn't out of the fight. And he was hit more. There's an example right here in town. So, any other questions about line 610?
Just my comment on the radios, that's it.
Yeah, I seem to agree with
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I don't disagree with your thought logic. As far as, putting, one and then the cycling thing. I don't disagree with the numbers either. But I don't like that, the way that's being
No, I
turned.
think it ought to all be under one, I mean, you can determine your life cycle without having it on an individual line item, and it'd be less confusing is to put it all into one line, police communications, whether it be the two-way radio, the mobiles, whether it be the handhelds.
So, one,
And to me, same with the body worn cameras. I mean, you already have a line for that. I'd rather see, so you can say, body worn
Right.
cameras cost us XYZ
Yep.
because it was all in line number 1, 2, 3. I just, to me,
Yep.
it's easier to keep track of it as well. And I'm not disagreeing with any of the ideas behind the what you've done as far as replacements or anything like that.
Yep.
I'd rather see a different accountability system
Yep.
for it.
So
To me,
here's-
supplies is like office supplies, maybe
Exactly.
maybe
Yep.
ammunition,
Yeah.
but
no, I get it. So one other thing to consider, and maybe we just want to table this point until next year.
Yep.
If we go with our new radio system, those are $1 each. This line's going away
Well,
for portable radios.
yeah, but
what,
Throw
for
that
the,
out there too.
well, for the next, the
FirstNet?
first
Yeah,
FirstNet?
FirstNet.
Well, that's for the phone part of it, but the rest of it, if you get the personal portable, for instance, the portables that they were talking about, whether it be a Motorola or a Harris, were the two they brought up. One of them's almost 10 grand and the other one's about 6 grand. For
I thought
for
they were $1.
No, that's just for the
The
phone.
phone.
Oh, then I heard it wrong.
Yeah.
99 cents for the
You'll
phone.
look, 99 cents for the phone. But
I got
when
you.
And then you've got to pay for the equipment for the trunking unit, so.
Okay.
which-
So never mind. Disregard my concern.
Yeah. So, no.
I was having trouble following all that. I was glad he was following all that.
Yeah,
So.
no,
no, if we decide to continue on with that, there's going to be many more discussions, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
All right. So
I wouldn't,
this is what I'm looking at with radios if you combine them. We have a flat line because essentially what I'm doing is a radio about 7-year life cycle, portable radio, which we carry, 2 a year because that puts it out at about 15. We actually need 14, so we've got one spare. Whereas if you do a vehicle radio, you only need it every other year. So how would you do that in a budget with the accountability? I can account for it in that other line, but this would be,
well, I mean, account for it with the purchase of it.
or just don't spend it
Oh, no.
if I don't use it.
They can
Okay.
do that too.
So that's
I
fine.
mean, it's all coming out of the same,
Okay, so then that we would.
coming out of the same pocket, instead of reaching in the right pocket, the left pocket, or the back pocket, it's all coming out like the right
Again,
pocket.
to me, it's more of an accountability thing.
Okay.
As far as
Unless-
fiscal accountability.
So
less
new
confusing.
line or for vehicle radio specifically, or just radio communications?
If it
Put it
makes
in.
it easier for you for life cycling, I'd have two separate, but I don't think it's really going to make a difference.
I'm good either way.
Put it under police communications equipment.
Okay, so we'll adjust that by $4,625.
Right.
That could even,
$625.
that could even cover antennas, because I mean, you've got antenna, if you have to
Communication
replace
equipment in
antennas,
general.
communications
Right.
equipment in general.
Yeah.
All right, so got it.
And then probably the body worn camera over to the body worn camera line that we have. Right? That was a thought. If it were
So that's only once every 5 year. If you do it for everything, all my lines are going to be jumbled.
It's too bad you couldn't make a revolving account for this stuff.
Well, but you have different expenses, different
I
years.
understand that, but it's just, you know, I think of the way that the special revenue fund is made for the fire department, when they need something, it's there and they just take it type thing.
Well, again, my records are open.
No,
I don't lock my door. Anybody can look at them anytime they want.
There's no, it just,
Right.
to me, it's the fiscal accountability to say.
Right,
you know,
right.
And when we wanna look at body worn cameras, we go to line,
No, I get,
Whatever.
okay, I got you.
you know,
And if we're gonna go down road, the same with the taser, move that to 613.
yeah. Yeah, like I said,
Okay, so I'll do that with
I'm
all
not-
the line.
Again, I don't feel that the board is disagreeing with any ideas that you have are
No, I got
presented, it's just what, the accountability side of it.
Yeah. Easier tracking. that's all
Okay,
it is.
okay, yeah, that's no problem. So I'll make those adjustments. Okay, so good on line 610? I'll make those adjustments?
Yep.
Yep.
So now we're down to the police communication equipment, 685, and of course I'll adjust it by the 4625.
Yep.
The 1955, that was an addition from the 5945 because portable radios are expensive. They are $3,850 each, planning on 2 a year, 7-year life cycle for them. Any questions on that one?
Which that could change.
If
Yeah,
something
it could.
happens with
If we go
FirstNet,
different
you're looking at, like I said, the Harris model
Sure,
is
but
about.
that'll be,
That could be
months.
a year to
Yeah.
a month
It could-
away.
yeah, that's-
Months to a year away.
yep,
And realistically, there's grants available for that to help us out the
It's
first round,
possible too.
so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right now, we have to focus on what we do have.
sure, yep, and that's what takes care of, okay, any other question on the department expenses?
No.
All right, vehicle expenses. This one's kind of easy. Since we're down both of our administrative unmarked vehicles, obviously we don't have those, so people have to drive their personal cars. So I took $2,000 out of the fuel line and put it into the mileage reimbursement line in case people are having to use their personal vehicles to do town business in. I'm hoping that'll be enough, and if not, we might have to adjust later.
When you say town business, for instance, as an example.
Going to court in Goffstown, going to training in another
If they
city.
if they go to court, they get reimbursed, it's their own time, and they put it on, they put it through the court system, don't they? The court reimburses them for mileage.
No,
No.
he's
Witness.
taking if we have to go defend something.
Oh, you know, what I mean, what are you talking about? The officers going to court in their own vehicles?
Yes. So like if Laura going from Dunbarton, currently if she goes to court, when it opens back up, she's not doing it, she does it in the office. So her place of business is the police station. She can come there, get a car in uniform, go to Goffstown. Or she can go from Dunbarton straight to
As a
court if that's
witness?
closer.
Are you talking as a witness or?
As a
the
prosecutor, she's our prosecutor.
Okay, so as the prosecutor.
Right, because that's her day off.
But I was talking about is they go in their own car as a witness, they get reimbursed mileage. from
Right,
the
no,
court.
this is as
Okay,
the,
that's what-
as an officer in her official duties. And that's just one of, going to training. If I had my chief's conference in Conway, nothing to drive, so. Which was canceled. That's a bummer. But that's it. Any questions about, vehicle expenses? I did add a line, 683, police vehicle management. That's if we ever actually want to put a vehicle in my budget, which makes sense. So, vehicles should be part of my life cycle management. They should be scheduled to rotate out of service after 7 years, and it's one vehicle purchase annually. Just want to throw that out there again.
So, in order to open that up, correct me, but don't we have to put $1 in there for that?
Well, I
line
didn't put
to exist?
anything, because,
Yeah, but that could be,
No, I mean, you can, if you you are thinking of opting to put the entire price of the vehicle in the budget? 'Cause, I mean,
What should happen.
these lines we can probably add on the fly.
Okay.
some of this isn't,
Because it's
you
a
know,
bottom line.
this isn't the, the final part for this, so.
sure. Any other questions about the vehicle? Personnel expenses, and this is not personal like me, personnel like is in my officers. Only one change. So I changed, it used to say 738 was police ballistic vests. I changed it to ballistic equipment because we also need helmets. And there's a level 4 insert, which is called a trauma plate, protects from rifle rounds. That's not in our budget at all. So what I did, using the 15 officers, even though we're assigned 14 just for the division rate, 3 per year, because all of those items have a life cycle of 5 years. So if I'm replacing 3 a year, To do that, $5,925 and no cents. And it's okay to use 15 because obviously if I have an officer leave and get a new officer, I have to, obviously, we can't reissue a vest. It has to be fitted for the person.
So what, at the end, I guess this is a little off topic, but at the end of the ballistics life, what happens to those? What happens to that equipment?
Take them in the range and shoot them, see how they do. Stuff like that.
Okay, I just didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah. We usually keep one or two just for ride-alongs. They have to sign a waiver, but if they want it, it's there for your use. We don't guarantee it.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously.
Make you feel a little better.
Yeah, but, we couldn't reissue those to officers, but like we've got, I think, 3 that are a year or 2 old just because we had officers leave and we can't reissue them to officers.
Like I said, they gotta be fitted, so.
Yeah, to the individual. But if we have a ride-along, that's what we got. If you see something you want to use, just because you want to use it, it's there.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantees on it.
Okay.
Any questions on personnel expenses? Animal control, this is pretty easy. Going down to professional services, so I've got $1,000 in professional services. That goes straight to if we get any vet or SPCA bills. We'd get SPCA bills if we had to quarantine an animal and put it at SPCA. There are fees associated. We haven't had that yet, but we would have to pay for that, so we need money there in case we do have to pay for that, as well as vet. We do have a major case right now, I'll tell you that, with animal control that could potentially lead to both of those fees. So it's not like it would never happen. It just hadn't happened yet.
Question, the ACO has been on for a year, right?
A little bit over.
A little bit over, and we have not needed this line, right?
Which one?
This one we're talking about, this professional
$1,000.
services one.
Not that I'm aware of. Well, there was $70 there for something.
Okay. 40 in 2018. Right? Am I seeing this? same line?
2020 expenses as of 10/31/20, $70. Oh, never mind. I'm looking at meetings. Sorry, wrong line.
Yeah, 0.
Can we?
Yeah, 0.
Can we trim that back a little bit to start?
I would not. So, the case we have, it could get expensive. I don't want to get into it because I'm
Okay.
nixing that, but I wouldn't go below 1,000. Put it this way, it would be a national intention case. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
We have a national organization assisting us with it.
Okay. We'll stop there.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking that in the future, we maybe will reduce that.
We
little
had
bit, maybe.
we had to really look at the code. The code we're looking at charging the person with. We have the option to confiscate the animals. We're not going to exercise that option.
Which is again, that's this year. I mean, is that
Right.
Is that something we're going to face every year?
Don't know. I mean, we got to take the cases as they present themselves to us. If
It
that
seems too, if history's starting to kind of show it, that these cases are getting more and more
Complex, which
and more pronounced. There's more and more of them coming all the time.
yeah.
That bills can get very expensive
And
quick,
yeah,
too.
This
you're talking
one,
vet bills. It's
well, put it this way, if the state code was worded one word differently, we would have had to confiscate the animals and we would have had to keep them to the court date, which would probably be about a year and a half.
Oh, boy.
For multiple animals, it would have been tens of thousands of dollars.
look at case in point. Look at the one that was at Wolfboro with all the Great Danes that they had to do.
Yeah.
The expense. Would
So-
have broke the budget.
It's better to have it and not need it than come to you guys and say, problem. Rather give it back. Next line, of course, we don't need electricity anymore. Meeting seminars, I left $500, which is enough for essentially one 3-day seminar. That's about what it cost for if she would have gone this year and wasn't canceled for COVID. Printing, so I absorbed all of her printing costs in my budget this year. She had to print 3 forms. Each one of those forms was roughly just under $250. So essentially $250 would be enough to print 1 form if she needed it. She should be good for a while, but that'll keep it going. Animal control supplies, this is leashes, muzzles, a new kennel in case you need it. Portable kennel, not the big kennel. I estimated $50 a month for fuel to keep that full. I think that's going to be pretty appropriate. But that's a starting point. We'll see how it goes for next year. Medical gear, $100. Same rate to maintain the vehicle as the patrol vehicles, $1,000 a year. And then shelter maintenance, we took out the $100. Any questions about the animal control budget?
Why did it go down,
Which one?
the hourly and wages?
The hourly and
53
wage.
versus 52.
Yes.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay.
As far as the animal control shelter, which is the kennel down at the DPW, yeah, you want to leave $1 in there in case you ever get another kennel again that we have to?
Oh, yeah,
maintain?
no. I forgot the dollar rule.
That
Sorry.
way it'll hold it.
Sure, we can do that for the electricity budget and the shelter.
Well, I think the electricity budget, that all comes out of one place now, right?
No.
No, I would leave $1 in both.
Leave
Okay.
$1 in both? Well, I didn't know if it was coming out of government buildings, because.
Yeah, and I'll do that for all the lines I left
Okay.
blank. Leave $1 in there. Any other questions?
Not tonight. Pretty good. A lot of information.
Yep.
You don't get to ask questions? Not yet.
Anybody here from the finance?
Yeah,
Okay.
Tom and
Yeah.
Rachel.
Oh,
Yeah.
we haven't even presented the budget to them yet, so this is the first round.
Yeah.
They still ask questions.
But they can still.
Yep. Does any of you have, Tom?
I have a question, it's a general question.
Sure.
At several points, you said that doesn't come out of my budget, it comes out of general funds.
Yes.
I'm not sure I know what you mean by that.
So like tasers, I don't have a line in my budget. So when we signed the taser contract, it's been paid out of the general fund.
I believe
Or
it
the
still
body
comes out
worn
of,
camera.
comes out from another line.
It came from your budget, your overall budget.
But it doesn't come out of,
Yeah.
I don't have it accounted for in my budget, put it that way.
Right, but it comes out of your bottom line.
But you will now.
Yes.
You will now.
It still comes out of the police budget,
It's
just,
come out of the police.
Oh, I got
bottom
you, just
line.
overages.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
I get it now.
yeah. 'Cause the
Probably-
general-
Yeah, me too.
The general fund and your operating budget are two different.
It
got you.
probably comes out
Thanks.
of your supplies or someplace else
Yeah.
under another topic, so.
Somebody was paying for it, I knew I didn't have a line for it.
You were.
Oh, you were paying for it.
Okay, well, yeah,
You just didn't know it.
Newsflash.
yeah. It wasn't well accounted for. Now it's right there.
Okay.
Any other questions for finance committee?
Okay. So then. the next-
So, again, just to emphasize the point, like I said, with all my
Restructuring.
proposed, down $7,419 by restructuring that prosecutor, so.
Thank you, Chief, for your hard work
Thanks,
on the
Chief.
budget.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the manifest.
Did you want to, depends on how you want to term it. Do you want to talk about the revenues?
Yeah, we can do that.
Or-
In fact, wasn't sure it wasn't listed, so we could talk about it.
No, I just didn't know because you sent her away because of the,
Yeah, we asked her to
Election.
postpone a week.
At least
Yeah.
a week.
It's a week,
So it's a week,
It's been a week.
and we think we know where we're going.
yeah, besides,
next week will be a different answer.
Yeah, I can say this week will be a different answer.
Yeah, probably.
And the week after that will probably be a different answer.
it'll be that way.
You guys still have yours?
Mid-December we'll know better.
It'll probably be that way.
Huh?
till-
Do you need new ones?
2023.
Did you bring your copies from last week?
What, we got copies last week?
Yes, they did.
Remember you
It'll
take
probably
them
be
home
that way
and
until we
you're
get to
gonna
the
study 'em?
town meeting.
Do I need to go there?
You weren't here?
I was here last week.
No, that's Lean's.
The week before was.
That was mine.
There she go.
You'll find last week's. Here we go. Ta-da! Estimated revenues.
Line one. Let's start there.
The revenuers. Yep.
Beth Russ, Finance Administrator.
Let's see.
Do as I'm told. So, how do you guys feel this week versus last week?
Oh, same.
Confused.
Yeah,
Confused and uncertain.
yep.
Just like hundreds of millions of other people.
I was gonna say, I think that's pretty much the going trend.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can start again. Land use for 2021 estimated is 25,000, is what we estimated for 2020. Timber yield tax, estimate 50,000, is what we estimated for 2020. Excavation, 3,600, that's because that's what we brought in this year. And interest and penalties on property tax, estimating about 110. We'll probably make that this year, so, for the end of the year.
Now obviously these numbers go to the end of October.
Correct.
So,
2 more months left.
So they could change.
are we expecting a huge income or roughly flat?
Land use might have a little more in November.
Okay.
Timber is probably all done.
Okay.
Excavation will probably go up. There's
No,
still people
excavation's
still-
all done.
Is it all done?
Yep,
Are we working in the pits
April.
anymore?
it's done in April. But with current use, you never know, because people might take it out of current use to subdivide,
yeah.
sell it, hard times.
Okay.
This is when they actually pay the bill, though.
Thankfully.
You can take it out, but
Yep.
Motor vehicles, 1,950,000. That's been what we've been bringing in for the last 3 years. Vehicle agent fees, 42,000. Again, it's what we've been bringing in for the last 3 years. We don't budget for refunds. And boat registration, again, last 3 years, about 4,300. Code enforcement, building permits. We're definitely going to, most likely we'll definitely be over 70 this year. But estimating 70 for next year. Again, we'll estimate these, and then again in the fall, once we have like 10 months under our belt, we look at them again.
Yep.
Any questions? Did you guys have a chance to look at this?
A little bit.
A little bit, okay. So vital revenues, 2,400, leaving that the same, leaving dog licenses group the same, leaving dog license town fee the same, seniors the same, fines the same, and penalties the same. No change from 2020 to 2021. The state and federal money, the shared revenue, we are not receiving that next year in 2021. Meals and rooms, we just leave it as what we are expecting this year, because you don't know that until December. The highway grant, that was SB 38, that happened in 17.
Question on the rooms and meals tax. Is that what we talked about last week, where you said you won't see? No, I think that was
Highway
the
block
roadblock.
grant.
Yeah.
Yeah, block
So
grant.
how do you see this change?
I see that going down.
Oh no, I mean I see it going down as well. I just don't when like.
We won't know till December,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you think we should try and anticipate that, or with a number?
I wouldn't even know what the number would be, though.
Okay. But expect it to
can-
go down.
Yeah. Well, we can see what it is in December, and then we'll have time before we
Adjust.
go
Okay,
to
to
town
adjust.
meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Put a
Good
mark
idea.
next to it.
Yep.
Keep an eye out when it comes in.
Okay.
Federal forest land, about $5,062. In years past, that is for the Clough State Park. The state reimburses us payment in lieu of taxes.
Nice of them.
Flood control reimbursement, it's usually about $45,000 a year. And then, again, FEMA and state reimbursement, I have no idea for next year. I don't want to budget something and not have any reimbursement.
At all.
Yeah, I'd be conservative on that. Forest fire reimbursement, that all depends. So, conservative estimation would be about 1,500. Gravel and permits, it's 150. Junkyard staying 75. Recording fee, these are all things that we really have no control over. So we're estimating $21 for recording fee reimbursement, protest fees, $50 reimbursement, photocopies, $10, sewer rents. Now that's gonna change at the end of the year because whatever our expenses were for 2020 is what we're gonna get reimbursed in 2021. So that will change. Assessing, about $500 in photocopy and receipts. Town clerk protest fees, about $350. Land use lot line adjustment, $1,000. Gonna keep that the same as we estimated in 2020. The same with did reduce the site plan review. We estimated $5,000 last year. I'm only gonna estimate about $2,500 this year because we've never really got $5,000. Subdivision, estimating that lower. Again, we didn't come close to that this year. Reimbursement of legal fees, you don't know that. Recording fees, reduced it just a little bit to $550. Again, being very conservative. I don't want to overestimate. Postage reimbursement for abutters, $3,500 because we didn't come close to the $5,000 this year. ZBA hearing fees, estimating about $800. Nothing for police reports, nothing for police witness fees. Estimating about $1,500 for town ordinance violations. Special registration fees, estimating about $210. Ambulance billing fees, about $11,000. Detail revenue for fire, $360. Mechanical permits, estimating about $10,000. That has just been going up every year, so we might look at that again by the end of the year. And then you get to transfer station, which is sad. So transfer station scrap, reducing it from $40,000 down to $25,000.
Beth, can I ask a question on that ambulance billing fee, that 11,000?
Yep.
We're not paying that. Isn't that coming out of the money that they
Correct.
take
Correct.
in?
But we have to show the ambulance billing in our budget.
Right.
In case for whatever reason
Right.
that fund is $0.
Yep.
But we do get it back. So tin, we estimated about $600 for that. Cardboard, we're on the positive side, optimistic side. We're gonna get about $7,500. Hauler licensing, about $400, because we now have 4 in town, and they're $100 each. Battery disposal, guesstimated about $300. That's what we had, roughly what we have this year. Recycled plastic, big fat zero. Aluminum cans, about $7,500. And we're not getting the ash credit from CRSW. Reimbursement for welfare, roughly about $2,000. And then Chase Park, I just used the same numbers as we did for this year. Any questions? Anything you think should go up, down? No. Cable vision franchise fees, $90,000. Gonna keep that the same. Parking violations, hoping for at least $35. Rabies clinic donation, if we have one, this year. $640 is usually the donation. Dog tag replacement, $10. Miscellaneous town clerk fees. She estimates always about $500. UCC filing fees, she estimates about $3,600 a year. Her photocopy receipts, $65. Her postage reimbursement at $1,000. I mean, this year, everything was done by mail. If it is again next year, postage reimbursement's gonna be high again, but I don't know what's coming next year. Lease to Sugar and Spice, that's $1,500 annually. The rental of town property, maybe July through December, we might get $500. Beginning of the year doesn't look good. Cemetery sale of lots, $620, which is 2. Sale of town property. That's gonna hit us hard going forward, because towns are no longer able to keep any proceeds from selling deeded property. So we just get to keep the taxes that are owed to us, and then everything goes back to the previous owner. So no more auctions and getting proceeds. Interest on investments, I'm optimistic, $20,000. And then the reimbursement of the property liability, it's always not a definite, but if we're lucky, they'll send it to us late August, early September, but. And then miscellaneous revenue, about $5,000. So unfortunately, that is $356,000 less than this year. The majority of it is obviously the
State and
reimbursement
FEMA.
from FEMA.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And then
that
the
one time.
for the,
Which may change, it's not a guaranteed zero, but
Absolutely.
it's
I don't wanna put-
better predict nothing than
Yeah,
a whole bunch of stuff and then end up with nothing.
yeah. Can you imagine
Left-
if we
and left holding the bag.
overestimated?
Yeah, left holding the bag. Yeah.
Yeah, if we overestimate, that's worse.
That's it.
No changes?
Changes.
Oh, you guys weren't really optimistic. I was really hoping that you guys were gonna be like,
You might know something different than what you
Yeah.
already have.
Well,
crystal ball.
I looked at the news tonight and they said we've gone over 10 million cases of COVID in this country, so. That doesn't send you a whole lot of promise for a lot of revenues.
no.
They lock things down again. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll do the manifest. To order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated November 12th, 2020, to include the following manifest. Payroll manifest, $62,543.12. That's the weekly payroll. And accounts payable manifest for a total of $112,068.15, for a grand total of $174,611.27. Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes from 11:02.
I go get him.
Huh?
I gotta go get him.
Oh,
I'm sorry, you made the motion, who seconded?
I did.
yeah.
Thank you.
There they are. Stand by. Still loading. Wouldn't have this problem first now.
Yeah, okay, sure.
In your opinion.
All right, ready to go.
Okay, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7.
Move to approve as amended, as written.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Jerry?
Yes.
Okay. Now the administrator's report.
Okay, before we get too far astray, I'm not gonna go off the sheet yet. In today's mail, we got the 2020 preliminary assessment to sales ratio equalization. And it appears that the preliminary analysis indicates a median assessment to sales ratio of 77.7%. And then keep in mind, in 2021, we're supposed to be back to 100%.
So that's all news to me. Can you read that in English for me, please?
So basically what they do is they look at the sales analysis as to what a house is going for and what we have assessed at.
Mhm.
Right now, as you know, things are
Hi.
Through the
pretty
roof.
high. So based on what we're assessed at and what the sales market, the ratio is, we're basically at 77%
Of current.
of the
Current value.
current value. So you don't change everybody's assessment, it's just based on the sales. So, as the sales go up, I mean, we obviously go down because we don't change.
Yeah.
There's times we've been over 100. Typically, when you get to after the first year, after reassessment, sometimes if you have a drop in the market, you end up a little more than 100. But the goal is at 2021, that you would be at 100%. What does that look like? I'm not sure. But right now, we're at 77.7, and just to let you know, in 2018, it appears that we were at 88.8, 2019 we're 86.3, 2020 it says 78.5. I don't know why it says 78.5, but it says, if you want to weed through all of these improvements and things that they made from sales, it honestly,
It's all the state records of sales
It's
in
right.
that packet, right?
but it talks about, when
Including-
you get into, it talks about improvements and, there's a whole bunch of columns, but the assessor does it, gets it from the state, provides us the letter and the backup.
So what is the intended way of getting there, I'll say? What is the assessor said of how to get to there? Because it's not just gonna be a blanket 23% increase on assessed values.
People will be
Well,
moving out of
typically,
town.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
okay, it just says
I might
that they
have to
looked
think
at
about it.
197 qualified sales,
yeah.
which excludes foreclosures, bank sales, family
Right.
transactions, estates, and the like. The preliminary analysis includes a median assessment to sales ratio of 77.7 and a coefficient of dispersion of 11. With the board's approval, I will forward this information electronically to DRA for the department use in establishing the actual ratio. The selectmen will need to sign the enclosed certification form. If you return it to me electronically, I'll see that it gets to DRA. I would be happy to meet with the board to discuss the statistics, should you desire.
Well, I guess my question is that just a prepared statement for the town to go to the state and say, this is where we're at?
I believe that's what, they're gonna go to the state of New
So
Hampshire
we're not
for
changing
us.
anything.
No.
No.
It's just us stating that
Right.
we are at 77
And then
point
typically
whatever.
what happens in reevaluation, the old 1/3 goes up, 1/3 goes down, 1/3 stays the same.
Okay.
I'm not
And
sure
it
how
all
that.
depends, and it's gone on the
So
sales
I'm
to
gonna,
availability
there's
ratio.
enough blanks for the four of you to sign it, by the state, to go to the state, I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's just a statement, that's all. I'm good with that. Do we need a motion or no?
No, there's enough signatures for all of you.
Okay.
Last week, we talked about, waiving some and deeding some. I have some tax deeds that you guys need to sign based on last week's directions, I'll call it. So those are tax deeds. And third, we haven't got the, we did reach out to one of the persons that were on there that we hadn't heard from, and he would like to enter into a payment arrangement with us versus the taking of the property. So basically, what we used to do, and some of you remember, when you enter in a payment arrangement, that we all sign it and they sign it. I'm just gonna ask you, it got processed, but I believe we always wait for after they sign, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Always, that's
Yeah,
fine.
Pretty sure we want
Yep.
them on board,
Exactly, before we
in
sign.
blood before
Yep.
we,
Yeah.
That's fine. And the last thing before we get to the report, you remember back in 19, the Snowmobile Club came before you about rerouting a trail on the Woods property?
Yep.
So they went back to conservation, because there was a discussion of possible notification or wetland issue. So the Snowmobile Club went back to conservation. Conservation led them to a gentleman for the proper, like, trail by notification forms, because they're all volunteers. So what the Snowmobile Club has filled out the trails notification, statutory permit by notification form for DES. But before the snowmobile club can send it to DES, the landowner has to sign it as well. There's only one spot for the chairperson, so I would
Move to
just,
authorize the chair to sign the agreement on the DES form for the Warrington Wanderers. Moved and seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
right.
The owner.
All right, now I'll move to that single sheet of paper I gave you earlier. Thank you. Okay, top part, the first thing, radio communication, R&R has rescheduled for next Monday night.
Okay.
Next Monday night, they're gonna come in, to do whoever they're partnering with, and it's kind of, I don't know what the demonstration will look like, but I'll let you guys look at that.
Yep.
Parks and Rec, I told you that the numbers, Beth provided them the numbers for the fees and stuff. I think, John, you might get that tomorrow night. Then we're gonna discuss it further, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna advertise the public hearing so we can table, because we didn't table it to a certain date. So we can have that public hearing that night when they're here as well, and if you see further down, they're on the agenda for their budget as well.
Right.
The annual hearing I already told you about. I'm gonna go down to number 9, just for anyone that doesn't know, the town office is closed Wednesday. Wednesday is Veterans Day, so the town office will be closed entirely, including the transfer station. We have posted that on the website as well. Tax rate setting, I was hoping to do it tonight. We had to leave a message today. The thought was, if we can get a call back tomorrow, is there a chance that we could meet Thursday or Friday?
I'm available.
Thursday's good.
Thursday or Friday night, so we could get it done.
Yeah, Thursday would be Friday. I
Okay,
wouldn't be able-
all right, no, I just want to be able to reach out so that we could post it. And I gave you the budget presentations tonight, you saw police. Next week, you're gonna have a busy night, because you're gonna have R&R. You're also gonna have the fire department, and you're also gonna have, CIP is gonna do, Jack Dearborn's gonna be here with CIP, so, the CIP's headed to planning board on Thursday, the board of selectmen on Monday, and finance on the 18th on Wednesday. That takes you through, you can see where I am. Nothing really has changed on the bottom part of it. Obviously, Walker Roofing, I mean, the last time I talked to him, he said it didn't need a lift, so the price was the price of material, not the lift. But I can't get him to confirm that again. So I just, like I said, I've been trying to double check with him. I'm not sure. I tried to get it scheduled as well. I'm just gonna keep trying. Because I'd really like to be the first one out of the gate come April.
Oh, absolutely.
Other than that, like I said, the sign, I thought of that. This would have been the week we put the sign in, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I thought of that. Thinking we were gonna wait till the cold this warm week.
Yeah, here we are. We could have had
Here
it.
we
in.
are, yeah. I thought of that the other day.
Wow, you can't win them all.
We should have the signs this week. I re-spoke, he didn't get my first email for the aluminum signs, but he'll do them this week, and Benji can put them up both at East Road as well as the gazebo.
Mm.
Stone, we're gonna still wait on the stone to see where we are at the end of the year. Now, probably, not sure if this is even feasible, is, things honestly look well, but I've been asked a couple times if you're gonna freeze anything. I said, everybody's staying within their numbers. Just keep that in the back of your mind, the thoughts out
I
there.
think we just watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all we can do. is
Yeah,
just
I mean, you've got good people in place, and they're
Yeah.
pretty cautious about things.
I would agree.
And the other thing, I think, Jack, you might have mentioned it, as or Tom may have, you're not sure where this whole thing is gonna go.
No.
I know some places have gone back to the shutdown. I'm hoping that we don't do that, but, we're monitoring things too. Things are getting crazy, but
Yeah.
hopefully we'll just do our best and
It was-
everybody can stay
What,
safe.
last week, we had over 300
Yeah.
and some odd
Yeah,
cases.
no, we're just
in
gonna.
A couple of days, so I
We're
mean,
trying, as you can see.
that's all we can do.
We're
Yeah.
all got them tied around our neck, so we're doing
I
the
had,
best
I
we
had
can
one
there.
question under the building maintenance projects. I guess it's mostly for Sherry. What's the story on Clinton Grove? Does anybody do anything, or we're still sitting?
No, it's all jacked up.
When did they come in there and do that?
About 3 weeks ago, I went up and we ran a laser level on it. It's good, but we're gonna go up probably, I don't know, maybe this Sunday, and dig down and put some sonotubes in.
Who's doing that?
I might be helping, and,
No, man, who's doing the work up there?
oh,
'Cause-
Chase,
Who?
Dale Chase.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that's been there, and it's,
Yeah, he couldn't do it this summer, but he's.
okay, so he finally showed up, and he's up there doing, okay.
Yeah, it's all jacked up. It's up with jack, just waiting for, to put some maybe sonotubes in and fill it up and
Okay,
finish it up.
cool. That'll be another one we can get off the list, hopefully. Sooner rather than later.
So,
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody's got any correspondence, but the chief stayed, because we have to talk about two of these in non-public, but I think one item can be public, because it's got nothing to do, it's collective bargaining.
Yeah, that's public information. Yeah, the collective bargaining is a public document.
Just seems
now.
to be there's an error in the collective bargaining agreement, and, I mean, the other two has to be non-public as people, so, I don't know if you're ready to do that, or if we want to.
Yeah, I just got one announcement under the correspondence. That's just to thank all the veterans. Veterans Day is coming, and to thank them for their service to this country and to the citizens of this town. And that, I'm all set for non-public unless somebody else has something. Okay.
Did we want to say anything about that?
Saying about do the collective bargaining first?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, because we voted on it.
It's
so
a
the
public
contract
document
is
now,
public
yeah.
document, so there appears to be an error in the CBA Article 17, and that's to do with holidays. And the holidays currently, it talks about probationary, non-probationary employees. And so 17.1 talks about non-probationary employees who work on a holiday.
17.1
17.1,
is they don't work. They're not scheduled.
okay, so if they're not scheduled, they get the holiday off. If they're scheduled, and let's just go back to the original wording. It says all full-time and part-time who are scheduled to work on a holiday with a shift starting on a holiday should be paid at a rate of 2.5 times their regular pay for all hours worked on that shift. So without the word "not" in the first one, it appears that you're paying 3.5 times. So the union also has agreed that that we add the word "not," so that the understanding was 2.5 times for all hours worked. The other part of it is to do with probationary, non-probationary, that they want to remove non-probationary.
No, they want to remove probationary, which happens very infrequently, like 3 times in the last year and a half.
I don't know if we can do that.
And then there's
Well-
one more.
Go ahead.
That was, we changed, make sure I'm getting this right, just to all full-time employees and eliminated before it said all full and part-time again. We were supposed to change that. Part-time was still in there, so we're getting rid of the part-time. So part-timers don't get holidays if they don't work.
We talked about that.
Right,
We
that
did
was
talk
brought
about-
up
yeah.
during that, yes, and that
Yep.
was a question that was brought up during the original negotiation. But as far as dropping the probationary and taking probationary out of
Well, I
the,
think we're in the middle of,
I
I'll
think,
just say, because while you're on probation,
yeah,
typically you can earn time, but you can't use it.
right,
And that's the same way in the collective bargaining.
right.
You can earn it, you can't use it. so you're kind of in limbo while you're on probation, but if you follow the personnel policy says 6 months. When you look at collective bargaining, it's 6 months or field training, I can't remember, so if you have 6
No
months.
less than
and
6
then-
months, so.
Right. Your field training, it's after your field training and certified,
Okay.
so it's longer than 6 months in some cases. But if you're on probation for 6 months or until your field training is done, you see the mix we got going.
Well, I think in that instance,
We're
I
just
look-
trying to clear it out.
I look at
Clean it out.
other agencies across the state, okay, the law enforcement officers, they have 6 months in completion of the academy. So, I mean, if you can't complete the academy, I mean, you're not really, sometimes they'll give them 2 shots to go to the academy. If they don't pass the first time, they go back a second time after that, so you're still on probation.
But you see where we have the problem.
Yeah, so I think to drop it, saying drop probationary out of there is wrong. Because then if there's something that doesn't happen that has to be the criteria with the rest of that in the balance, then you're gonna have a personnel issue if it comes to some type of litigation. I think it ought to be that, 6 months to a year, depending on what it is. I think
Let
to
me
drop
ask
the
you this.
probationary, because if
So
you drop
by-
probationary out of it completely, we're now opening ourselves up the minute they hire them, they're no longer on probation, and if we, for some
They
reason, we
fall
had
under
to
the
discharge
collective
them,
bargaining.
we're in trouble.
Well, I guess what I would just, so,
They-
Ashley, I mean, she's part-time.
She's probationary, part-time.
Probationary
Current-
part-time,
currently.
Yeah.
She'll be probationary probably in excess of a year because she wants to get, rather than just doing traffic control and minimal stuff, she wants to do it all. So that's gonna take, depending on how much she works.
Okay.
A while.
Well, I mean, she's already part-time certified, she's already working in another department, right? So for her to get her
So now it's just a matter of training her for where police,
for
how
where.
we do
So-
things.
FTO time, basically.
her
Right,
FTO
yes.
time, but basically, she's already gone through that where she's full-time in another agency.
Right, but even, so take our 3 we just hired.
Yep.
They
4
came
months.
over from other departments, they were about 4 weeks,
4 weeks.
roughly.
Full time.
So if she did, right, if she did 2 days a month, because it's budgeted, she can do it most 3 days a month.
Yep.
Let's just say she does 2 days a month, to get those 16 days, it would take her 8 months at a minimum.
Yeah.
Unless some status with her changes.
So I guess I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole.
But
what
she's
ab-
part-time.
So by taking away,
So you're talking about the probationary?
yeah,
So the probationary, and it was on you're getting rid of it under the 17.2, where it just says now, before it was all full or part-time employees, before it was all full or part-time non-probationary employees. So they just got rid of the non-probationary who are scheduled to work on a holiday with shift starting on a holiday shall be paid at the rate of 2.5 times their full rate of pay for hours worked on that shift. So the point of probation is there's no grievance process.
Well, that's for them, but the part of probation as to whether or not they pack the gear and they're gonna pass all the muster to be a full-time
Sure,
employee.
sure.
So if you take that out of there,
Well, that's just their rate of pay. So,
but it's still, you put that word in there and it's, take the non-probationary,
right, this just establishes their rate of pay because they're doing the same job.
but
And
if you take them out of there, which is any probationary police officer anywhere in the state, collective bargaining or otherwise, you take that out of there and you take the probationary part out, and then what happens?
so
It's gonna make it.
Well, I'll give you a real-world
If there's
example.
an issue, it's gonna make it difficult for everybody all the way around.
probationary, I disagree. Probationary officers can't work by themselves. They have to be with another officer. If they're working overtime, which is what this entails, they're working overtime at someone else's request, not their own. And we're holding them to a lower pay standard for something that they have no control over. That's not fair.
let me,
See the language of 17.2, please.
Before or after?
I was gonna say, I only brought the.
Whatever's current.
The current
It's not
one?
current.
Yeah, that's not current.
That's not current.
That's what they're proposing.
I'd like to see what the
I'd like to-
agreed one, what is signed right now.
What it says, what
Yeah.
it's signed at, I think I got it.
Because I still don't have a copy of the CBA.
Well, I'd like to get input on that from
Yeah.
Attorney Brown.
Well, that's okay. I mean, we
Yeah.
send it over to Mark.
I think that's
I was
where it has
just-
to go, but I think it
Well,
would
we
cause
talked
an
about it
issue.
today, but I think, to make it fair, I think we should run it by him.
Yeah, and,
He was
yeah,
part of
that's
the
no problem.
negotiating table.
And like I said, when, Beth looked at it, it's literally
have it
come
with
up
me. I thought I did.
3 times in about, what, the last year and a half?
Well, we've debated over how to calculate ever since we tried to straighten this
Mm-hmm.
out years ago.
Yeah,
Been somebody's way of doing it, Mark's way of figuring it, Beth's way of figuring it, my way of figuring it.
yeah.
You know, so I think where he said at the table, I think it's really just, if it's all right, we'll just run it by,
No,
okay.
I got
So
no
that's
problem with
all.
that.
I thought I had it with me, I don't.
No, you don't have the new one, because I didn't send it. I have to send it to you.
No, but I had a copy of it from the,
Yeah, but the signed copy is what
That's
you
all.
want to
yeah,
see.
but I'm saying what we had before when we did the negotiations.
So I'll send it to Mark, we can stay in touch, and I'll send you guys all one.
Thank you.
Because I did scan it and send it, I
Yep.
just didn't forward it to everybody.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I have one more question, that's more for public. Did I send you the highlighted, ordinance for animal control? Or did I forget to do
Nope.
I
that?
sent it a
We
long
haven't-
time ago.
You sent it, you gave us each a copy a while ago.
Copy a while
But did you
ago.
get the highlighted where the changes were highlighted?
No.
Yes.
Did we, oh, yes, we did. I'm
You
sorry.
did.
Okay,
asked
I
me
wasn't
about
sure
it,
if I did
yeah.
that.
Yep, we did.
Do I need to do anything else with that?
Well, I think it has to probably, some of it just to run by legal counsel to make sure the wording is correct.
Yeah, I just didn't know the process if I was
And if
supposed
we
to do
have,
something
and
else.
if we have it, we
To
have
be
to
honest,
what?
I don't think I really looked at it.
Yeah.
We have
no,
a, we have to have a
he
public
handed-
hearing.
in
Yes,
there.
he handed it to us, and then he added something in yellow and sent it to us.
Yeah, just
You gave it to
show
us
you
the
what
same
was,
time you gave the tow.
Yes.
okay.
That's when you gave it to us, right? With the tow.
Oh,
Yeah, about
with the
there.
tone.
Policy.
So I think the only other thing, if there's any changes in the ordinance, we have to run it by legal counsel, and then we're gonna have to have a public
And then you have to
hearing.
have a public hearing,
Pure
okay.
public
Okay.
hearing.
I just made sure there wasn't something else I was supposed to
So send the colored copy off to Mark Roth as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Then we can get that off the,
Get her done.
yep.
Okay, that's the other two, you have to go non-public under,
See? A and C.
A and C.
A and C is your safest.
Yep.
Have a good night, folks.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Make a motion,
Make
we
it-
go in,
Oh, make a motion, we go into non-public under 90, yeah, RSA 93, A1, Roman numeral 2, A and C.
second.
Oh, what was I gonna say? 91 A.
All those in favor?
Yes.
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 Okay, and after
Night.
that, we will be adjourning, and good night, everybody, and thank you.